on, we're gonna be late.
Are you sure people aren't gonna wonder why you're carrying a balloon around? It's not like anyone's gonna see me.
I'm Pennywise. Nothing makes sense with him. Forgot my keys. What the?
My child, I have come to save you.
Who are you?
From that wretched beast that you have with you. That wretched thing that you have given a name. To appease it. To make sure it does not dwindle further into your heart and crush it. As if it was nothing.
Save me? Yeah, but as he said, we're pretty chill.
Hey, I've been waiting in the car. Where'd you go?
Where am I? Where did you take me? A magical place. A place where she shall never hurt you. A place for healing. A place of love. A place where you can heal.
Again, I think you're mistaking us choosing to be together as forcing to be together. Yes, we are together, but we're not being forced to be together anymore.
Stockholm Syndrome. It's already begun.
That's not...
Fear not. Drink this, and you shall feel so much better.
What is it?
Holy water, my dear. Drink.
Does this have anything to do with any particular holiday season that's coming up and based on themes about this?
It's almost like you've been through this.
Fine. This is... The hell movie am I reviewing? Granted, I've seen quite a few of these Slender Man movies already. From the 2018 Slender Man, trying to souffle what I thought was actually better than the one Sony made, to people trying to be much like Marvel Hornet, and one that did try to capitalize on it but ended up failing in the end. I was harsh, yes, and I realized that. I should try to review them as something of their own and not what they're trying to be. And that is writing on the success of others. This is an Indie Film Fest Award winner of 2016. Please be good. Terrence, the cheeky little guy, is sneaking a girl over, but is sadly caught by his grandma. He makes up a story about them needing to study, but grandma wasn't born yesterday. The two go upstairs and do... nothing. But while grandma is cross-stitching, the lights flicker, causing her to go to them and find Terrence dead, hurt. I don't know, but she screams.
Terrence! What have you done? What have you done?
I don't know, Grandma. Premarital head laying on shoulder must have pissed off God so much you blew up the bulbs in the house.
Premarital head laying is no joke. It leads to kissing, which leads to the creation of babies.
That's not how babies are made.
No, but the actions that two people do does lead to the creation of children.
Thank you, abduction angel. We cut to some time later and Terrence is not dead and is still awkward as ever. He has come to the bankruptcy office because of some financial troubles. Cards maxed out, loans taken in, and in some incredible debt. His grandmother has passed away and he thankfully can keep the house but will soon be bankrupt. Terrence gets home and goes to get a glass, but oh no, the back door suddenly opens. He quickly shuts it, giving us a clear indication that he is not only paranoid, but his house is pretty unsettled. He takes some medication, hearing noises. When Terrence is asleep, the door opens, leading to someone pointing their hand in his face. But it turns out to be a dream. Or is it? He jumps out of the bed after seeing the ghost and finds his bed empty. Now, I can only speculate, but Terrence has some sort of disability. It's not told what, and I won't speculate because
You'll find out later on. But it's very clear throughout the movie that this could be either in his head or it possibly could be happening.
We cut to Lucy, who is just like Terrence, but with an abusive mother. She doesn't like a little bit of sass, and beatings are her form of punishment. Terrence arrives, and Lucy quickly leaves with her mom going after her. The two leave as her mom is left screaming, and the two go to work, which I think is a factory job. I'm honestly not too sure, but it's not the best place.
Lunchtime has expired.
After dropping off Lucy and one of the other girls, Edith, yes, she does believe in reptiles and how they're taking over the world. Thank you so much for asking, because God forbid I ever wanted to know this. Lee, who Terrence also drops off, offers him a drink and he agrees. While waiting, however, an old Mercury car sits not too far away with some odd-looking folks.
That's not nice to call people that. Considering that they have no face? No, they're weird.
It backs up as Lee comes out, giving him his drink. Later on, Terrence is getting ready for his date with Lucy to the theater. He goes downstairs and becomes mesmerized by a picture. It looks like the Black Dahlia. I don't know if it actually is, but it's a conversation starter. The next day, however, Terrence gets a paper telling him that he qualifies for a card. He signs up for it, and 2 weeks later, he gets it. But before bed, Terrence sees a faceless man in a suit standing outside. It walks off, but it freaks Terrence out. The next day, his car breaks down, and while he's standing around, a man in suit is watching him. As the man in suit walks off, a man in a trench coat yells at Terrence for not knowing what's wrong with his car, pulling out a paper bag and proclaiming to have a sandwich inside.
I'm beginning to think that this part of town is radioactive, and this whole town is infected.
Terrence arrives at the car lot, like the old car lot.
What year is it?
It's our Lord 2022.
White, I'm beginning to think you don't know what sarcasm is.
He buys a lowrider, and the seller leaves to check him out. And once again, the men in suits sit in that Mercury car. After the deal is done, Terrence drives off with the men in suits not too far behind. We jump to a month later, and back at the warehouse, Terrence is called into the manager's office. Is he the manager? I don't fucking know. Dan, the manager, looks a bit roughed up. What happened? Well, that's not important because Terrence is let go.
Yeah, not the woman who believes in the reptilian headquarters, not the guy who broke into the building itself, but the guy who is doing a good job. Of course it is. It's always the good people that you lose.
All bad things happen for a reason.
Hey, White, if I punched you in the face for no reason, do you think that would be a good reason enough for me to punch you in the face?
Of course.
But we can kind of piece together that the men in suits did this to Dan after he gets a phone call saying the deed was done. Terrence gets another black envelope and finds out that he owes over $30,000 on his card, but he only bought a car, which was only $6,000. So basically, the interest rate is daily, not monthly, and 50% purchase fee.
Always look at the ratings, the interest, the companies, and the reviews. This is how they get you. You gotta read the fine little details.
A man in a suit comes into Terrence's home and just walks out after Terrence sees him. He calls the police, but they don't do anything.
And here I thought this took place in the 70s or something. I mean, the cars kind of threw me off a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. The police do come, like 2 people, and at 8 in the morning when this happened at 4, they ask to describe what happened, and Terrence does, while the one officer just already looks around and the other just plainly says, "I don't believe you."
Am I dead yet?
They basically say it could be his medicine, but it could be that he's seeing things. It could be his sleep paralysis. It doesn't help that Terrence sees ghosts of his grandma, though.
Oh, but we do find out that the painting, which I've been the most curious about, because Terrence has quite literally gone to it multiple times, he made it in like 2 years ago or so, and reminds him to take his meds. Her name is Wanda. How fitting.
One of the officers finds a shoe print and begins speculating that it could be a 7-foot-tall guy and that he may weigh over 300 pounds. So, because they found the shoe print and that there was someone who came into the house but left,
Good police work, Officer Nancy.
After waking up from a nightmare, Terrence sets out to go look for a job, only to find his car gone. The phone rings and it's the car company saying that they took the car. He has until tonight to give the money back. When Terrence asks if they're loan sharks, the guy on the phone laughs, saying that they're just hard-working Republicans trying to make a difference.
So the Republicans took the car.
So Terrence wakes up and sees the walking corpse of Lucy and Lee. And for some reason, there's another girl, which was the one he snuck home in the beginning, who Terrence can't touch because weird beam light thing. She disappears and leaves behind a puddle. The two friends smile creepily, which causes Terrence to go upstairs. He finds a man in a suit in the room and his grandmother dead in the other. His grandmother chokes him and he wakes up. But Lucy and Lee wake up in front of him, perfectly fine. How did they exactly get in?
Shut up, Meg.
Terrence suggests they go out and they agree. When Lee suggests he stay over for a few days, he doesn't get a response. Instead, Lee finds Terrence on the floor, hiding from the tall man in suits. But Lee sees nothing and tries to help by saying maybe the guy ducked or left. Terrence and Lee go outside to get it to come out, and the man in suit does, leading Lee to go after him, even though he never sees him. Meanwhile, Lucy is inside and sees the man. Terrence runs inside after the man in suit comes for him and Lee screams. Lucy is nowhere inside, though. Terrence calls the detectives and tells him that the man is back and his friends are missing. And he basically has as much care as one does for when a live-action Disney movie is announced.
Angry, but not surprised at this point.
So locking every door and arming himself with a knife, Terrence waits for the police. They arrive accordingly.
It's us, Mr. McElby.
So, not only does everyone somehow have access to Terrence's house, but also, you didn't bring backup? Okay, just 2 guys. That's all you need, apparently.
And even the detective's like, no officers? And I know what you're thinking. I really must be watching a fever dream, or that these two must be working with the men in suits. And to that I say... The detective tells Terrence he never locked the doors when he did. Terrence sees the men in suits outside, but the detective just tells him that he fucked up. So this is also where the movie says, fuck it. 6:27. The detective goes upstairs while hearing a noise. The other detective is stuck seeing something outside and doesn't respond. Shots are fired upstairs and Terrence grabs the knife from the table. But before he can get it, a tall man in a suit grabs him. Terrence hits him in the head with the lamp and knocks him out. 2 more men in suits come in and slap Terrence unconscious.
So you remember when that one detective said it was 6:27? How much time do you think has passed? I mean, a lot has happened, so it could have been 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Also, no cops. They've been taken care of.
But Terrence is duct taped to a chair. Not his hands or face, though. The 3 men in suits surround him and Terrence asks what they want. The phone rings and one of the men from the credit card company answers. He asks if he has the $24,000 and Terrence repeats that he doesn't. His fingers are broken as he keeps repeating that he doesn't have the money, but the operator leaves them for an hour, giving our fine men in suits some time to play. They make him drink some liquor, and an hour passes in no time. Sadly, Terrence doesn't have the money, and his fingers are all broken, besides his thumbs. How generous. Lucy's killed like in the painting. Don't worry, the movie spells it out for you, because it's not like you can't tell, because we've seen this painting like over half of the movie. Thank you! And Lee's body is dragged off. Terrence runs out to the road and finds one of the men in suits standing in the doorway. Terrence is run over by the Mercury car, and somehow Terrence ends up in jail.
Not that it would matter, but he has broken fingers. Lucy and that other woman were killed very differently, and it would kind of rule him out. Also, because the police report would also show he called for a home invasion, not once, but twice. But also, where are the other weapons that show that, Lucy had this all messed up, and it looks like it was made by not a fingernail, but maybe a blade of some sorts that they seem to not have.
A lawyer and psychologist are called, and the lawyer says things aren't looking good for him.
Let me just tell you what the court's going to see. They're going to see your friend, Lee Levine, dead on the floor. They're going to see a prostitute, Wilma Sherman, also dead. And Lucy Marks, beaten to death. All in your house.
1, besides Terrence and the prostitute, which again, we didn't know a thing about. Those 2 wouldn't have alcohol in their system. 2, cameras show otherwise. 3, reports which show that Terrence's previous calls. 4, his medical history. 5, the fact that he said men in suits, and that if not found guilty of murder, it would have been for owing money, which again, he has a history of. 6, Lucy brought a present for Terrence, which would also show on her credit card unless she paid in cash. And again, cameras in the person who owns this place and or other employees could remember seeing her and Lee. So what I'm saying is most likely that if he does not actually get a murder charge, he most likely will be sent to an asylum because, again, I refer back to medical history and that none of this is making any sense, no matter how hard you try. But his car was taken away, so how could the woman have gotten into his car? It wasn't his, and the person who saw him was the man in the trench coat. Again, they could still say it was him. And another twist, they say the car was indeed in the driveway in the photo taken by police. They also say Terrence stole the car and beat up the poor dealer, which again, cameras. The lawyer and psychologist don't believe him, but ask him to tell them about the tall men. Hey guys, this really does happen to people, and I'm sure there's a pretty word for it. I don't know, mobsters and loan sharks. You seem to forget that those things exist. As Terrence continues to tell them about the men in suits, he brings up that there was another man who would do all the talking. Great. Check the callbacks, and even better, which Terrence forgets, the letters. Show the letters. You didn't really throw all of them away. One of them you actually left on the table. So for some reason, the psychologist brings up that, which Terrence only mentioned once in passing because it was a catch it or you miss it thing, and that there was a girl he had brought home, and that was the girl he brought home, like, long time ago, whose name was Alicia. Alicia lived next door and was Terrence's good friend. Alicia got abused at home and one day asked Terrence to throw a radio in the bathtub. He does, and she dies. Everybody knows their ABCs. But his grandmother had him committed, diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. After some time, he was released back to his grandma and had missed taking his medication sometimes before, so why would this be any different? I mean, grandma was the one to help him take his medication. They try to make him believe that he was forgetting to take his medication, which is why he forgot that he doesn't even remember his friend's deaths. Here's a better idea. Did any of you go and look at his medication and go, oh, this guy actually takes medicine for schizophrenia? It seems he skipped a few days. Am I the only one thinking logically here that it's obviously he's mentally not okay, and or that these loan shark and these money people have taken advantage of a man with a disorder? Terrence goes back into a cell where the ghost of everyone that is dead is with him. We get another scene of, oh hey, it's Laser Guy. He recognizes the one detective who isn't actually one and talks about how he gave away his business card at the party Terrence had. So Laser Guy and a few others would be able to say that there was a party, but the lawyer forgot to say that. They were invited. Fucking good. All the awkward scenes are very much so that make Terrence, well, Terrence. He's an awkward guy, and going to another place for loans and so on is what makes him feel, well, awkward. How he got himself in this is shown very well because he can't control himself, leading to a spiral. Everything is quiet or silent, letting us sink in the true horrors of getting a sense of dread. Is this real, or is this an assaid? We'll never know! Honestly, take out all the horror stuff, and it's just about a regular man struggling. You got a man who keeps getting fucked over by credit card companies and getting stalked by a shady company. Now that's scary. Bad. The horror scenes, especially at the beginning, are clunky. Why is everything muted? Like, the scenes don't need to really have a gray filter. We can understand what is going on without it being bland and gray. Who has a painting like this in their home? The answer is me. I probably would, actually. Most of the jump scares aren't scary. I say most because the one near the beginning where she was in Terrence's bed was creepy, but it didn't really scare me, and I guess the makeup was pretty cool, which I can always say, like, kudos for good makeup design. In the description of the movie, it says when he gets the black card, the men in suits find him. But in the actual movie, these people are watching him for no reason. Also, why? Did they already send him a card? Did it just take too long in the mail? You lost me when you brought politics into this movie. So there was a party, and we didn't even get the "this actually happened" scene, or even Laser Guy, or the one lizard believer saying that there was a party, not even showing pictures of the place that they were there, that there even was one. Okay, like literally, when we see the next scene, you know what actually happens at parties? People leave stuff lying around. There's probably large trash bags around because, again, there were people there. When you have drunk people, stuff is thrown everywhere, stuff is spilled around, and what? There's like, they didn't even say like what time the party ended. It's just kind of like, oops, wake up at 8 in the morning and oh my god, dead body.
Do not cry for him. Do not cry.
Man, this wasn't anything like Slenderman like I thought it would be. Oh yeah, I guess I never did drink this. Wasn't that drink just the most delicious thing you've ever had? Yum, yum.